Stop. Before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that could change the way you see the world. Do you believe that being good will keep you safe? Do you believe that kindness will make others loyal, that generosity will be remembered, that honesty will always be respected? If your answer is yes, you are about to confront the most ruthless lie society has ever planted in your mind. Reality is different. How many times have you stayed late to help a coworker with their tasks, only to find that when it's time for a promotion, your name never appears? How many times have you been the one paying for dinner, but the moment you forget your wallet, no one offers to step in? How many times have you kept silent in your family just to keep the peace, only to be met with disdain in return? These moments reveal a brutal truth. The world does not reward goodness. It only rewards those who know how to use goodness strategically. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He witnessed merciful kings betrayed, gentle rulers overthrown, and generous men abandoned by the very people they saved. And he wrote, "The prince not to teach morality, but to teach survival among wolves." Be honest in the comments. How many times have you felt your kindness was exploited? Write it down, because admitting it is the first step to change. Today, you will walk through 8 ruthless truths, and the first truth is this: kindness does not protect you, it exposes you. Kindness does not protect you, it exposes you. In a world where everyone is looking for weaknesses to exploit, your repeated acts of kindness are like hanging a sign around your neck. I will not refuse. Use me. You think kindness earns respect. In truth, it makes you predictable. And in the game of power, what is predictable is always the first to be devoured. Look around you. At work, you've probably seen a colleague who always volunteers for overtime, always takes on the hardest tasks for the team. But when it's time for bonuses or promotions, that person never gets chosen. Why? Because those who always say yes are not seen as leaders. They are seen as tools. It's the same in families. Maybe you are the one who always gives in, the one who sacrifices to keep the peace. But the more you tolerate, the less respect you receive. Because once others know you will always back down, they no longer value your sacrifice. In friendships, perhaps you're the one who always pays for dinner, always shows up when someone needs help moving. At first, they praise you as kind, but over time, your presence becomes expected. And one day, if you refuse, their eyes will not show gratitude, they will show annoyance. Machiavelli once said, "The lion cannot escape traps, and the fox cannot fend off wolves." To survive, one must be both a fox and a lion. You chose to live like a sheep, thinking that being gentle would make you loved. But in a world of wolves, sheep have only one destiny: to become the feast. Ask yourself, have you ever felt like a doormat at work, in your family, or among your friends? If so, write it in the comments, because truth only becomes clear when you dare to name it. The solution is not to abandon kindness, it is to make it unpredictable. Do not let others assume you will always show up, always nod, always endure. Make your kindness an exception, not a routine. When it is rare, it has value. When it arrives at the right moment, it has power. Because if you don't learn to control your kindness, it will control you. And if it controls you, others will manipulate you like a puppet. But this is only the beginning. Exposure leads you into an even deeper trap, the trap of generosity, where giving too much does not create loyalty, but only breeds dependence and resentment. Next, we will enter truth 2, the trap of generosity, where you'll see why the more you give, the more you are taken for granted. It sounds paradoxical, but the truth is, the more generous you are, the easier it is for people to take you for granted. When you give once, people feel grateful. Give twice, they feel appreciative. But after 10 times, gratitude disappears, replaced by expectation. And when you finally say no, they don't remember the 9 times you said yes. They only remember the 1 time you refused. This shows clearly in families. A child who gets a toy for the first time will jump with joy. The second time, they will hug you and say thank you. But by the 10th time, the gift becomes a duty. If you refuse to buy another one, they throw a tantrum and call you unfair. Excessive generosity does not create gratitude. It breeds entitlement. The workplace is no different. An employee who always volunteers for overtime, always covers for others, is first praised as dedicated. But slowly, no one sees it as special anymore. The day he leaves on time, he is criticized as irresponsible. Constant generosity turns sacrifice into a standard, and once something becomes a standard, it no longer inspires respect. It only creates expectation. Friendships work the same way. Maybe you are the one who always pays for dinner. At first, the group laughs and thanks you, but soon, the thanks fade, and the day you don't pull out your wallet, the air becomes tense. You shift from benefactor to stingy simply because you didn't fulfill their habit one time. Machiavelli saw through this when he wrote, "Benefits should be given little by little, so that they may taste sweeter." He understood that value only exists in scarcity. What is abundant is always devalued. A precious gem is treasured because it is rare, but scatter them along the street, and they become meaningless stones. Ask yourself, how many times have you given everything, only to be abandoned when you needed help? How many times have you sacrificed, but the moment you stopped, you were labeled selfish? Write your story in the comments. Speaking this truth out loud is proof of the trap of generosity. The solution is not to stop giving, but to give strategically. Do not hand out favors unconditionally. Be selective. Make your help something to be remembered, not something to be expected. When you know how to say no at the right moment, your yes becomes a true gift. But generosity is only the surface. Deeper lies a colder truth. Society doesn't care if you are truly good. It only cares if you look good. And that leads us to the next truth. Next, we will step into truth 3, the mask of virtue, where you'll see why appearances matter more than essence, and why Machiavelli once wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few know what you really are." His wasn't, "The world does not care who you truly are. It only cares how you appear. You may have a pure heart, good intentions, and genuine kindness. But if the image you project is one of weakness, that will be the only truth others see. At work, you may be the hardest working employee, quietly solving problems no one else notices. But if you sit in meetings with a hunched posture, a trembling voice, people will think you lack confidence. They won't see your dedication, they'll only see timidity. And when promotion time comes, the opportunity goes to the one who sits tall, speaks firmly, and projects the image of a leader. In love, it's the same. You may give everything your honesty, your loyalty, your affection, but if you allow your image to become one of someone always available, predictable, soft, your devotion will not be respected. They may enjoy your attention, but they won't admire you, because they see someone without boundaries, without the strength that sustains lasting attraction. In society, look at those who are widely respected. They do not rely solely on being truly kind. They know how to wear the right mask at the right moment. They know when to smile, when to stay silent, and when to appear cold. A surgeon may cut open your body to save your life. That act looks cruel, but it is kindness on a deeper level. Sometimes, to do good, you must accept looking bad in the eyes of others. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few know what you really are." He understood that perception shapes power. People do not live with your heart, they only react to the image you project. If you appear weak, you will be treated as weak. If you appear strong, you will be treated as strong. That is why virtue is not a robe you wear all day. It is a mask you must learn to control, not deception, but strategy. You must decide when to show kindness and when to show coldness. That is how virtue becomes a tool instead of a burden. Ask yourself, in the eyes of others, are you the gentle one they can exploit, or the silent one they tread carefully around? Write it down in the comments, because this honesty will change how you construct your own image. Remember, power does not only come from what you truly are, it comes from how others see you. And if you don't direct your own image, the world will write the script for you, and that script almost always casts you as the servant. But even if you master the mask, there is a deeper truth. Everything you give your time, your energy, your kindness, is finite capital. And if you don't calculate, you will soon be bankrupt in your own life. Next, we will enter Truth 4, the economics of power, where you will see why every act of kindness is a cost, and those who don't control their spending will soon bankrupt their existence. In the game of power, everything has a cost. Every nod, every promise, every time you help someone is like withdrawing from the bank of your time, energy, and focus. But most people who are too nice never keep a ledger. They give unconditionally, as if their resources were infinite. And then, one day, they collapse without understanding why. Look at everyday life. At work, you're always the one who says yes, helping with reports, fixing slides, answering emails after hours. Once or twice, it's fine. But when it becomes a habit, you no longer have time for your own work. When deadlines slip, the boss doesn't ask, "Why did you help others?" He only asks, "Why didn't you finish?" You lose points, while the person you helped benefits. In families, you might be the one who carries the load, caring for parents, resolving conflicts, handling finances. You think you're sacrificing for harmony, but in reality, you are draining your health and spirit. One day, when you break down, no one remembers the 1,000 times you held everything together. They only see the moment you can't take on more, and they call you selfish. In friendships, maybe you're the one who always picks up the phone at midnight, or drives 20 kilometers to help a friend move. But if you do it too often, you'll discover the brutal truth. When you need them, they are suddenly busy. The balance is broken because you turned your precious resources into free service. Machiavelli once wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. You cannot command if you cannot command yourself. And to command yourself, you must know how to calculate costs. Your time is limited. Your energy has a ceiling. Unconditional kindness is not a virtue. It is a debt you borrow from your own life. Ask yourself, how many times have you regretted agreeing to something just to please others? How many times have you been exhausted by yeses you never wanted to say? Write it down in the comments, because that is the proof that you are going bankrupt in your own power bank. The solution is not to stop giving, but to know how much and when. Think of the rule on airplanes. Put on your oxygen mask first, then help others. Because if you pass out, you cannot save anyone. Life works the same way. Only when you protect your own resources can you protect others. The wise understand that sustainability matters more than temporary approval. They know how to invest resources in the right people, the right tasks, at the right time, and this calculation is what allows them not only to survive, but to rise. Because power, like money, does not come from reckless spending. It comes from the ability to keep, to invest, and to use at the exact moment it creates maximum impact. But this is only part of the picture, because even if you learn to calculate, there is still a harsher truth. Virtues, kindness, honesty, generosity were never meant to be ornaments. They are weapons, and weapons only become dangerous when used strategically. Next, we will enter 205, using virtue strategically, where you'll see why kindness only has real power when it is like a sword in the hand of a warrior, not a flower crushed underfoot. Virtue is not a crown to wear on your head and show to the world. Virtue is a sword, and like every sword, it only has value when drawn at the right time, in the right place, for the right purpose. The problem of those who are too good is not that they possess virtue, but that they use it the wrong way. They treat kindness as something to display 24/7, to anyone. But when you give it away blindly, it loses all power. A sword left forever in its sheath threatens no one. A sword swung wildly protects no one. Only a sword in the hand of someone who knows when to draw it and when to conceal it is a true weapon. At work, consider the difference. A wise leader is not someone who always smiles and says yes. They know when to praise and when to criticize bluntly. Strategic mercy makes them respected. Meanwhile, a leader who tries to be nice to everyone is quickly seen as weak. In families, a parent who always gives in to every demand may think they are showing love, but in truth, they are destroying. A child who gets everything learns no boundaries, no effort. On the other hand, a parent who knows when to say no, when to let the child face consequences, is the one who truly teaches responsibility. In friendships and relationships, the same principle applies. If you are always kind without conditions, your kindness will be taken for granted. But if you learn to give at the right moment when it is truly necessary, when it has meaning, your kindness becomes unforgettable, a mark that lasts. Machiavelli once said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The promise broken is a necessity of the present." He understood that virtue should not be chains that bind you. It must be wielded flexibly as a political tool, a strategic weapon. Ask yourself, how many times have you said yes, only because you were afraid of being seen as bad, not because you truly wanted to? Write it in the comments, because in that moment, you turned virtue into chains instead of a weapon. To use virtue strategically means making kindness a choice, not a reflex. You help not because you fear rejection, but because you judge it worthwhile. You tell the truth not to be liked, but to create change. You forgive not because of weakness, but because forgiveness at the right moment strengthens your power. When virtue becomes strategy, it becomes sharp. When you choose the right person, the right moment, the right way, your kindness transforms into strength that commands both respect and caution. But even if you learn to turn kindness into a weapon, there is another trap ahead, the illusion that others will always be grateful. And the harsh truth is this gratitude fades faster than almost anything else. Next, we will step into Truth 6, the illusion of gratitude, where you will see why, the more you give, the shorter gratitude lasts, and why those helped the most are often the first to turn their backs. You believe that if you give enough, people will always be grateful. But the ruthless truth is this: gratitude has an expiration date, and it usually fades faster than you think. The first time you help a coworker meet a deadline, they thank you endlessly. The second time, they still smile and call you helpful. But by the fifth or sixth time, gratitude disappears. Helping becomes your duty, and when you finally refuse, they don't remember the 6 times you carried the load, they only remember the 1 time you said no. In their eyes, you go from benefactor to selfish. It's the same in families. A child who gets a gift the first time will scream with joy. By the 3rd gift, they still say thank you. But by the 10th, it is simply expected. And one day, when parents stop providing, the child grows angry and accuses them of being unfair. Excessive generosity doesn't build loyalty, it breeds entitlement. In friendships and relationships, the pattern repeats. You are always there when someone needs you, driving them late at night, lending money, sacrificing your personal time. But that very availability makes your kindness invisible. People stop saying, "Thank you." They simply think, "He'll always be there." And one day, when you don't show up, they don't remember the dozens of times you helped. They only blame you for the single time you didn't. Machiavelli warned, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. For everyone can see what you appear to be, few really know what you are." Meaning, your goodness doesn't accumulate into a permanent memory. It evaporates quickly. Only your most recent action is recognized. Ask yourself, how many times has someone forgotten everything you did for them just because of one refusal? Write your experience in the comments, because it is living proof of the illusion of gratitude. The solution is not to stop being kind, but to manage it. Make your kindness scarce so that it holds value. Don't let goodness become a free service. Let your absence create longing. Let your refusals make your agreement a privilege. When you understand this truth, you stop relying on gratitude to protect you. You begin building power even when no one says, "Thank you." And that is the real foundation of respect. But even when you understand how fragile gratitude is, there remains a harsher truth. The world does not care about your intentions. It only cares about results. And that is the next truth. Next, we will step into truth 7. Results matter more than intentions, where you'll see why people do not live inside your heart, but only with the consequences of your actions. The world does not live in your heart. It only lives in what you produce. You may carry pure intentions, deep kindness, and absolute sincerity. But if the outcome you deliver is weakness, failure, or chaos, no one cares that you meant well. A teacher may intend not to make students unhappy, so they always grade easily. Good intention, but the result is students lacking knowledge, entering life unprepared. A parent may want their child to be always happy, so they never discipline. Good intention, but the result is a selfish, irresponsible adult. A boss may want to keep harmony, so they never criticize underperformers. Good intention, but the result is a weak team where no one improves. See it? Intentions don't save you. Results are the only measure. At work, you may be hardworking, kind, always willing to help others. But if you don't hit your KPIs, don't bring in revenue, don't create tangible impact, your boss won't look at effort. They'll only look at numbers. And promotion will go to the one who delivers results, even if he's not nice. In love, you may give everything, sacrifice endlessly, always think of the other person. But if that sacrifice turns you into someone dull, the result is they lose interest. They don't leave because you're not good. They leave because you don't create attraction. You don't help the relationship grow. Machiavelli once said, "The ends justify the means." He wasn't urging you to be evil. He was reminding you that good intentions without good results are meaningless. People don't live with your reasons. They live with the consequences of your actions. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did the morally right thing but were dismissed or disrespected? Write it in the comments. That moment is when you touch the truth. Intention is not enough. The difference between a nice person and a truly good person lies here. A nice person only wants to be liked, to avoid conflict, to please. A truly good person focuses on creating change, even if it means being disliked in the short term. A strict teacher may be hated now, but remembered with gratitude for life. A tough leader may not get applause today, but the result is a strong, resilient organization. Being liked is cheap, being respected is rare, and respect only comes from results. But even when you produce results, one final layer of truth remains. You must survive long enough to turn those results into legacy. Because the world doesn't remember the good, it remembers the ones who left a mark. Next, we will enter Truth 8, Legacy and Survival, where you'll see why, before thinking about changing the world, you must first learn how to survive in it. History does not carve the names of those who were kind but forgettable. It only carves the names of those who survived long enough to turn their actions into legacy. You may be kind, honest, and devoted, but if you are crushed under the machinery of power, all that kindness disappears with you. Look back for a moment. You can easily name those who were strong, relentless, and left lasting impact, even if they were not always pleasant. Steve Jobs, Churchill, Mandela. But can you name 5 nice people from history? It's hard, because the world does not remember those who simply aimed to please. The world remembers those who shaped change. At work, a dedicated employee may labor 20 years without pause, but if he never protects himself, never asserts his value, he will retire quietly, forgotten. Meanwhile, the one who dares to set boundaries, to fight, to take responsibility and leave a mark, will be remembered long after, even if his temperament was not pleasant. In families, a father or mother who always sacrifices, always yields, often ends their life in exhaustion. But a parent who creates principles, who knows when to be strict, when to protect, leaves a lasting image in their children's memory, not just of love, but of respect. In society, remember this: the most generous person cannot help anyone if they give until they collapse. The most honest cannot speak truth if they are silenced. The kindest cannot protect if they are removed from the board. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." He was not encouraging cruelty. He was emphasizing that survival matters more than affection. You cannot leave a legacy if you do not survive long enough to create it. Ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as the likable one who was forgotten, or as the strong one who left a mark? Answer in the comments. That answer not only defines you today, but shapes how the world will remember you tomorrow. Legacy is not built on making people like you. It is built on survival, on knowing when to be firm, when to retreat, and when to strike decisively. Those who leave a mark are not those who are always gentle. They are those who choose their battles, endure, and then win. And here lies the final point. These 8 truths are not just warnings. They are a map for you to stop being the predictably good person and start becoming the strong, strategically kind one. But to turn them into real power, you must make a decisive choice. And that choice lies in the final part, the moment where all questions converge into a single decision for yourself. Next, we will step into part 10, outro, 300 words, the ultimate conclusion. Will you continue to live as a sheep exploited, or become the shepherd who makes the wolves retreat? Now you have walked through the 8 ruthless truths about kindness, and the final question is no longer, do you believe it? The real question is, what will you do from today onward? You can continue as before, always smiling, always saying yes, always giving unconditionally. And then, one day, you will realize you are exhausted, exploited, and abandoned by the very relationships you sacrificed for the most. Or you can choose another path, turning kindness into a weapon. Not a weapon to destroy, but to protect. Not to kill, but to make others cautious, unwilling to underestimate you. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But he was not calling for cruelty. He was calling for clarity. He wanted you to understand that in a world full of wolves, you cannot be a sheep. You must be the shepherd, knowing when to smile, when to be cold, when to hold the knife in your hand. So, leave your answer in the comments. What will you choose: continue as a sheep waiting to be devoured, or become the shepherd who makes the wolves retreat? If this video made you see the world with different eyes, like, subscribe, and share it with those who need this message. Because this knowledge is not just for you, it is a weapon, and the world needs more warriors who know how to use it. Remember, kindness is not weakness. When used correctly, it is the most fearsome strength of all.